Hi students, welcome to this class in physics. We'll be starting with the first chapter in your syllabus, that is interference of light. Okay, so this is an important chapters and it's a slightly big chapter. Many questions, many problems come based on this chapter. Okay, so interference of light, you must have studied some concepts about it in your lower classes, might be in 12th or 11th standard. In this chapter, you will be doing a slightly different type of interference, something called as interference based on division of amplitude using what are called as thin films. So all these concepts we'll be discussing in details in this chapter. Okay, so before we move on to the actual interference part, a few terms and definitions we have to study. Okay, so the first thing is about geometric path, which is noted by the symbol L. So what is the meaning of geometric path? It is the shortest physical distance traveled by a ray of light. So very simple to understand. So let's try to understand what is the meaning of geometric path in the form of this example. We have a ray of light IO. It is traveling from air to glass. Air we know has a refractive index 1, whereas glass has a refractive index mu, which will be 1.5 around. Now, what is the geometric path of this ray IOE? It is, as by definition, it is the actual physical distance traveled by ray of light. So, for this example which is shown here, the geometric path L will be equal to just IO plus OE. Very simple, just the actual physical distances traveled by the ray of light. Next, we will see what is meant by, now one thing, geometric path is independent of the medium in which light travels. So whether it's traveling in air or glass, geometric path is just the sum of the distances traveled by the ray of light, IO plus IE. There's nothing mentioned, there's nothing new coming in any of this relation. So it's independent of the medium in which light is traveling. Next we'll see about optical path. In this chapter, what is important for us is the optical path, not the geometric path, because we are dealing with light, optics. Okay, so please try to understand this concept about optical path very clearly. Now, first of all, why do we require optical path? Now, what is the meaning of optical path? Let's try to understand this with two examples. Okay, so suppose a ray of, suppose this side I'm considering about air, a ray of light traveling in air. So suppose a ray of light is traveling in air. We know that the speed of a ray of light in air is, in air or vacuum, is around 3 into 10 raised to 8 meters per second. Okay, so if this ray of light is traveling in air, in 1 second it will travel a distance of 3 into 10 raised to 8 meters per second. So 3 into 10 raised to 8 meters per second in air in 1 second. So the same thing in glass. In 1 second, the ray which had traveled 3 into 10 raised to 8 meters in air will travel a lesser distance, might be the same ray of light in glass, will not travel a distance of 3 into 10 raised to 8, but it will travel a distance of, might be 2 into 10 raised to 8 meters. Why? Because in glass, light travels slower. So, as light travels in different mediums, the speed of light varies. So, to take into account the speed of light, we define something called as optical path. Now, in air, light travels a distance of 3 into 10 raised to 8 meters. Whereas in glass, light travels a distance of 2 into 10 raised to 8 meters. Now here you see it is less. So how do we compensate for this lesser distance traveled by light in glass? Here it is 3, here it is 2. So to compensate for this lesser distance, what I need to do is, I need to multiply this distance with some number here which is greater than 1. So if I multiply this 2 in 10 raised to 8 meters per second with something which is number greater than 1, I may be able to get this value, 3 into 10 raised to 8 meters per second. Now the question is, what is this number which I have to multiply with 2 into 10 raised to 8? It works out that this number is nothing but mu, the refractive index of the medium in which glass is traveling. And this total now, 2 into 10 raised to 8 multiplied with mu, this is called as the optical path traveled by this ray of light. So hope you have understood why we require optical path. Because in glass it is traveling 3, here it is traveling less. So to compensate for this lesser distance, I have to multiply with mu, okay, the refractive index of the medium. So therefore, optical path is defined as the refractive index of the medium multiplied by the actual distance traveled by the ray of light, which is L, geometric path. So the formula for optical path is delta is equal to refractive index mu into the actual physical distance traveled by the ray of light. Let's try to understand this with the same example which we had seen earlier. This is a ray of light traveling from air to glass. It is traveling a distance IO in air, whereas it is traveling a distance OE in glass. So what is the optical path traveled by the ray IOE? So optical path delta will be the optical path traveled by the ray of light in air plus the optical path traveled by the ray of light in glass. So it will be refractive index of air into the actual physical distance, which is IO, plus the refractive index of glass multiplied by the distance traveled by the ray in glass, which is OE. So the optical path, total optical path will be mu air. We know the refractive index of air is approximately 1. So I can write this as IO plus refractive index of glass. Over here in the figure is shown as mu. So it will be mu into OE. So this is, for this example shown here, the optical path traveled by the ray IOE is IO plus mu times OE. So please keep this in mind. In this chapter, whenever we are calculating the distance by the ray of light, the path traveled by the ray of light, we have to use the formula for optical path and not just physical distance. So optical path is actual physical distance multiplied with the refractive index of the medium in which light is traveling. Okay, let's move on forward. Optical path difference, also denoted by the same symbol delta as optical path, because remember, when you subtract two optical paths, the resultant also is an optical path. So the symbol remains the same as delta. Okay. Now what is optical path difference defined as? It is the difference between the optical paths traveled by two rays. So suppose I have a ray AB traveling in air, let us say, and another ray CD traveling, let us say, in a medium having a refractive index mu, then what will be the path difference between the rays AB and the ray CD? Path difference delta is always a positive number, so it is you always have to subtract the bigger minus the smaller. Okay, so it will be the optical path of ray CD minus the optical path of ray AB. So it will be equal to, now how much is the optical path of the ray CD? Now remember, CD is traveling in a medium of refractive index mu, so its optical path will be mu times CD. Ray AB is traveling in air, so its optical path will be, the refractive index of air is 1 and the distance is AB, so it will be just AB. So this is the value of path difference between the ray CD and the ray AB. So moving forward, what is meant by phase? So now we have talked about path and optical path. we now see another important concept called as phase and phase difference. So phase is represented by the symbol small delta. Remember this capital delta, small delta, we are using the common notation delta because it is both related to light. Remember light, sometimes we represent it in the form of a ray, whereas sometimes we represent light in the form of a wave. Light also has a wave nature. So whenever we talk about light or light in the form of a ray diagram, we will be talking in terms of path and path difference. Whereas whenever we show light as a wave, we are going to talk in terms of phase and phase difference. Okay? So what is the meaning of phase? Phase basically specifies the location of a point on the wave. Okay? So if you know the phase of a wave, you can exactly tell in which path, in which point of the wave the waveform has reached. For example, suppose we have a wave like this. We denote a wave like this, a sine wave, let us say. One cycle of the wave is starting from here, one cycle ends over here. This is one complete cycle. One complete cycle is represented by an angle of 2 pi. 0 to 2 pi is one wave. So phase is nothing but an angle. It would be pi, it would be pi by 2 or any value which tells you in which part of the wave it has reached. For example, suppose I have a point like this on the wave. What is the phase of this wave? It will be pi by 2. This point over here is pi. This point over here is 2 pi. This point on the wave will be 3 pi by 2. So now, if I tell you that the phase of the wave is 3 pi by 2, you will immediately understand that the wave has reached its negative peak, which is over here. If I say that the phase of the wave is pi by 2, you can immediately understand that the wave has reached its positive peak. So if I know the phase of a wave, you can tell in which part of its motion the wave has reached, whether it's at the top peak, bottom peak or zero level where it has reached. Okay, so this is about phase of a wave. Now, before we move on forward, there's another important concept with respect to phase, something called as equivalent points. What are meant by equivalent points? Now, if you see this point on the wave, that is 0 phase, similarly this point on the wave, that is 2 pi, this point, all are in the same position with respect to the wave. What I mean by this is that at 0, the wave is starting with a positive cycle. It's just about to start with the positive cycle. The same thing is happening at this point also. The wave is just about to start into its positive cycle. At 4 pi, at 6 pi also the same things are happening. The wave is about to start into its positive cycle. So we say that point like 0, 2 pi, 4 pi and so on are equivalent. Okay. Similarly, points like pi, 2 pi, sorry, not 2 pi, three pi, then 5 pi and so on, these also are equivalent points. Okay, why? Because what's happening at pi and 3 pi and 5 pi, what is happening at So what is happening at the point pi, 3 pi, 5 pi? What is common about this point is that the wave is entering into its negative cycle. The wave is entering into its negative cycle. So at pi it's entering into negative cycle. At 3 pi also the same thing is happening. At 5 pi also the wave is entering into its negative cycle. So these points are also equivalent. So similarly, you can have more equivalent points like, so suppose we say that pi by 2. The next corresponding point, equivalent point will be, so if I consider this point as my starting point, the next equivalent point of the wave is this point over here, which will be 5 pi by 2. The next equivalent point will be 7 pi by 2 and so on. So all these points are equivalent. Why? Because they are in the same position with respect to the wave. Okay? So having understood this concept of equivalent points, let's now move on to an important concept about phase difference. Okay? Phase difference. So what is phase difference is simple. It is just like we studied about path difference. Phase difference is also defined as the difference in the phases of two waves. Path difference is what? Difference in the paths of two rays of light. Phase difference is the difference in the phase of two waves. Now, there are many cases possible of phase difference, but in this chapter of interference, what is important for us is only two special cases. What is meant by waves in phase and waves out of phase. Because based on this, we will be further defining what is constructive interference and destructive interference. Okay, so this slide here, this part here in this lecture is very important. Okay, so I will continue with this in the next class because it will take slightly more time. So in the next class I will be continuing this about phase difference. Thank you.